Hello, everybody. Hey, it's so great to have you all joining us today for our Career on Wheels segment that we provide an opportunity every Thursday for you to get firsthand experience of interviewing different career speakers from across the country. Today, we're so excited to have with us a former pro athlete by the name of Mr. Rennie Curran, who is a keynote speaker, author, leadership, and business coach, who's passionate about improving leadership capabilities, career performance, and performance for leaders and their teams all across the country. And we're so excited to have him on today to share with us in this wonderful experience. So, as always, take a moment, go ahead and share this video with others. Share this live feed with your friends and families that are watching today. Let this experience be one that people can grasp knowledge that'll be able to help them in their life and career and business goals. And a special shout out to all of the teams and Boys and Girls Club members across the country that are tuned in today, watching and listening to this live broadcast. So I'm going to go ahead and bring one of our special guests on today. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Doing well. Glad to be on. How are you?
Hey, it's such a great opportunity to have you to join us today.
Yes, sir. Glad to be on.
So, as we begin to go into conversation today and dialogue, I want to take a moment just for you to share your background story with us, how you get into the pathway that you're on today. I see you have on the University of Georgia shirt. We are all proud supporters of UGA and the Bulldogs. So just share with us a little background information about yourself.
Yeah, I love to, man. Appreciate you asking. And for me, my story starts with my parents who came to the United States in the early '80s. My mom came on scholarship to go to Emory to get her master's in nursing, and so that's how we ended up being in Atlanta. And then my father came after she was finished getting her master's in nursing. He bought into a shoe repair franchise that was out in Kennesaw. And during this time, there was a civil war taking place in their home country of Liberia, which is where they're from. And so the earliest part of my life, where we were off like North True Hills, Beaufort Highway area, right around Metro Atlanta, I saw them just working extremely hard, man, just taking a lot of the money that they made, sending it back home. They were both the oldest in their families, and so really just helping a lot of our extended family come to America as refugees. And so that those early experiences of like leadership, being selfless, humility, that work ethic, all those things is what I took with me onto the football field when I started at the age of 10 years old. We moved to Gwinnett County, and I got into the Brookwood cluster. And my first couple years, man, I met my little league coach, who was one of the biggest Georgia Bulldog fans. And so he took me to my first University of Georgia game at the age of 10, 11 years old. And that's where the dream really started. That's where I got the chance to really get exposed to the tradition of Georgia football. I remember it like it was yesterday, just watching from the 50-yard line, seeing guys who were playing at the time, like David Green, David Pollock, who's with ESPN now, Thomas Davis, who's with the Carolina Panthers, and so many other amazing players. And I told myself at that young age that I was going to be a Georgia Bulldog, and I believed it with my whole heart and my whole soul. And from there, it was just a lot of extremely hard work. It was a lot of tough decisions that I had to make in terms of just like, deciding to stay in school, working hard, making the grades, choosing the right friends, all those things, man. Overcoming being labeled undersized. My parents didn't have a lot of money. There's so many different things, but all in all, I was able to make it to University of Georgia, became a permanent team captain, a three-time All-American, Buckets Award finalist, a lot of other awards. Was able to also achieve another one of my dreams of leaving college after 3 years and going pro. And so I was drafted third round to the Tennessee Titans. Went on to play with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then also up in Canada as well with the Edmonton Eskimos and the BC Lions. And some of the guys I played with and played against were like, who most people know with the Falcons, Julio Jones, played against him, played against Tim Tebow. Um, so many players that are still playing right now at a high level. And early in my career, I actually ended up getting cut from my first team. And so instead of just like getting sad, getting down on myself, I actually started working towards writing my first book. And so around 2011, 2012 is when I became an author. And that led into me becoming a public speaker, because just because you write a book doesn't mean it's going to sell itself. So I started speaking on it, going to schools, going to businesses, going to churches, and building my speaking career. And later on, I got certified as a leadership and business coach, and started working with other companies and just really leveraged everything that I built from my past life as an athlete and took that into the world of business. And so that's what I do now full time. Like I said, like you said, a keynote speaker, author, leadership and business coach. I work with individuals, small business owners, and entrepreneurs. Also with associations, schools, and businesses in the areas of leadership, team building, and performance. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And I'm also, one of my most important jobs is I'm a father. I got a beautiful 12-year-old daughter, and she's 12 going on 18, so trying to keep her straight, man. But yeah, I'm here in Atlanta. I'm a Boys and Girls Club alum. I went to the Boys and Girls Club from when I was about 8 years old till I was about 12. So that was a big part of my life as well. And now I'm actually on the board for Gwinnett County Boys and Girls Club as well.
So it seemed as if that you're just an all-around person, having this experience of traveling, coming to Georgia, and being raised here, and tapping into your athletic future, and also career and business future. Let's talk about for a moment, how do the skills that you gained on the football field really help you out today in your career field?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think so many athletes don't really realize how many of the skills that you develop as an athlete actually translate. So one of the ways, and the most applicable ways, that being an athlete translates into the business world is just understanding how to be a part of a team. Football, that's one thing that you learn early on, is that you can't be an individual and be successful. Like, you have to buy in. You have to buy into the game plan. You have to buy into what the coaches are telling you. You have to sometimes be okay with not being in the spotlight. And that's a lot of things that help you when you get into the business world, because it's going to be the case a lot of times. You're not always going to be in the position that you want to be in. And so learning that through the game of football has been huge. And another thing is preparation. In order to get ready for whether it's a great game or a great season, you have to prepare for hours upon hours, whether it's in the film room, in the weight room, or just with your teammates, knowing what to do when certain plays are called, when you're getting ready to face your opposition. So preparation was another major thing that I use now, that I'm a keynote speaker. Before I get ready to speak to an audience, I can't just get up there and perform. It's no different than a game. I have to really, really understand my audience. I have to understand the topic. I have to understand how to provide value to them. And so preparation is another thing. Another thing I would say also is mental toughness. So there was a lot of times as an athlete where I got beat, I got embarrassed, right? I failed. I didn't, the coach didn't acknowledge me. Like I said, I was not that guy who was ever just given a position and was able to get on the field. Like I had to fight for everything. I was an underdog. And so that's something that helps me as an entrepreneur now, is having that same mentality of mental toughness. Even when I call 10 schools and I hear no's over and over and over, or I have a bad day, my speech doesn't go the way I want it to, or I don't have a good meeting with my client, where I have to get up that next day and still go at it with that same effort, that same dog mentality, and still believe that I'm going to succeed regardless of the circumstances. So, like I said, teamwork, mental toughness, preparation. I could go on and on about just how many things translate from the sports world to the business world, and it's definitely set me apart.
And that's part of what I teach so much to our teens here at the Boys and Girls Club. Strive to be more than just a normal student. Push forward. Really put in the work and the time and effort. And I tell you, it really pays off. As we look into the world of business coaching and leadership coaching, how do you think that teens could most benefit from taking on more leadership responsibility as they get older? And what are some of the things and advice that you would share to them now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, start small. That's what I would say for the teens when it comes to leadership, and just putting themselves in a position of influence. Just understanding that it doesn't mean, like, when you say I'm a leader, that you have to be perfect, because that's sometimes that holds a lot of teens back from feeling like they need to be in that leadership position. With, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm good enough. You have that imposter syndrome. You're telling yourself that, man, what are they gonna say about me if I mess up? But literally, leadership is just having an influence on somebody. So that can be just giving them some advice. That can be just what they post on their social media. That can be just, creating some type of program or some type of event that just where you mentor somebody, or just saying, you see somebody going down the wrong path or making the wrong decision, or somebody about to get in a fight, and you just grab them by the neck and you say, hey, we're not doing this today. Like, something as small as that is leadership. So I think once kids can start to grasp that concept, that it's not just this big, undertaking where they gotta be perfect, they gotta be well spoken, they gotta wear a suit, they gotta have a title, they gotta have an office, then they'll be more inclined to start to take on those leadership roles that will help them move forward. So I would just say start small and build from there. Help them to understand what the concept of leadership really is and how small it is, but how influential it can be. Because leadership is a process. It's not something where you just step into the position and then all of a sudden you good. A lot of people think that's what it is, and they end up failing as leaders because they're just so caught up in their title and they're caught up in their status, as opposed to actually doing the work day in and day out, making the decisions, really focusing on their character and developing themselves into that leader. So that would be my advice to the teens, is just to start small. Don't pressure yourself when it comes to leadership. Like, I was never a guy. I was the youngest of three, only boy. So I was the knucklehead of the family. So for me to call myself a leader, it took time. I had to have a lot of people who poured into me and just a lot of work that I had to do on myself. So I think that's the most important thing, is just having that growth mindset and understanding that even if I'm not necessarily that person who everybody looks at as a leader today, doesn't mean I can't work towards that.
And that's good nuggets. That's good nuggets and things. And I hope that to all of our teens that are listening, whether you're in hybrid learning right now or whether you're going to come back and watch this broadcast later today, I hope that you grasp the concept that preparation is everything. And that while you're chasing your dreams, take a moment to really, really grasp nuggets from Mr. Curran and how he's talking about his leadership journey, his experience, and how he got to where he is today. So, for a moment, let's shift gears for a moment. So, let's talk about your first big opportunity to play in a professional game, and then your first big experience of speaking at a leadership or a business coach event.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So my first opportunity to play in a professional game, like a real one, was actually we played the Carolina Panthers, and I was with the Tennessee Titans, and yeah, it was just crazy because you see so many guys that you only would see on video games. Like I grew up playing Madden like most kids, and so it was just surreal walking out there, being on the field, and just taking it all in. And one of the toughest things was not getting caught up in the major experience and like not forgetting what my coaches had taught me and the practice and everything that I put in. But one thing I remember is it was so fast. Like your mind has to take that time to get adjusted to the game speed. And then I was only like 22 years old. So when I got out there, like I'm out there professional level with some grown men, like guys that are huge. I play linebacker, so the guys I'm going against, offensive linemen, are anywhere from 6'4" to 6'8", anywhere from 290 to 315 pounds on average. So these guys are like monsters, and so I'm having to, avoid them to get to the running backs, which these guys are running anywhere. If you break it down for a 40-yard dash, they're running from a 4.3 to a 4.5 40-yard dash, so extremely fast. So I have to have that combination of strength and speed in order to do what I do, but it was very, very, very fast. And that's one thing that I realized, whether it's in sports or in business, there's always that adjustment period. So no matter how much you think you know, no matter how talented you think you are, you always have to go through that period where it's going to be moving fast. Things are going to be coming at you very, very quickly. But that's when you have to lean on that preparation. And that's when you also have to have that growth mindset, knowing that, man, I'm not where I want to be right now. This isn't going necessarily the way I want it to, but I'm just going to keep improving and keep getting better every single week, every single hour, whatever I can do to go back and look at that film. That's the approach that I'm going to take. And so that first game was an amazing experience, and it's something that I will never forget because once you're there, it's just like it's crazy. You have those flashbacks to all the dreams that you had, all the things that you want to accomplish, and to be there, it's a blessing. And you realize how rare it is because only 0.08% of guys that play from little league to pros actually make it. So that was it was huge. And then as far as the business opportunity, my first real business speaking engagement was a company called Forever Lawn, and they actually sold turf. And so they had a conference where they trained like a lot of their small business owners, the people who sell their product. And so I went in and delivered a keynote just about taking risks, overcoming challenges, and really developing those leadership skills. So that was my first time really being in front of a business audience. And I'm not gonna lie, it's like you walk into a room, you see people who are older than you, see people who are business owners. I was about 25, 26 at the time, so I was still like really trying to get those reps. So just similar to in the sports world where things were happening really really fast, and like I had to calm down. I had to really trust myself and have that confidence. It was the same exact type of scenario. So yeah, both of them really really helped me grow.
Wow. So, looking at going from professional football to actually speaking at these different events, uh, what came to mind to you when you had to stop with the football and put the football down and transition careers? What was your mindset like?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. My mindset was just of how can I take, what I've learned as an athlete and provide value to the business world. So one of the first things I did was a self-evaluation. So I looked at what skill sets I had. I looked at the values that I had. I looked at the relationships that I had from my past life, and I just really broke it down. And I looked at the fact that I had a powerful story. I looked at the fact that, in the sports world, I'd done a million interviews, so I had the ability to communicate and to write. I looked at the fact that I had a following in terms of the fans that watched me play, and so those were a lot of the relationships that I would use when it came to getting clients and getting people to support my business. And so I really just tried to extract as much value as I could from my past life so that I could set myself up for future success. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, not just athletes, but people in general. Like once they are done with their job, they kind of think like that's it. They forget to extract all those experiences, all those values, and all those relationships that can be transferable into their new life. So that was something that really, really helped me to just gain that confidence, because for so many of us athletes, we really, really struggle when it comes to the transition. Once we're done playing, we feel like we have nothing else to offer the world besides just being a coach or being a trainer, which there's nothing wrong with those careers. But we have so much exposure. We have so many, like I said, so many transferable skills that if we just understand that and we start to understand how it applies to the business world, then we'll be unstoppable. Like, and another thing that I did was I really, really spent a lot of time working on myself. So I went to workshops. I read tons of books on leadership, self-help, and personal development. I met with tons of business leaders and got mentors. So it wasn't just all on me. Like I really, really took the time to just develop myself and still keep that same championship mentality that I took from the field. Because I knew like if I could just dedicate myself, discipline myself, continue to improve. Even if I had a great experience in the business world, if I could just continue to improve, just like I did on the football field, eventually that I will be where I wanted to be, man. So that was the approach that I took, which is really taking that growth mindset, focusing on what I can control, looking and evaluating myself and my skills and my values and my relationships, and then understanding, trying to really understand how I could provide value to others, and that really, really helped.
And so as you look at the experiences and the accomplishments you've made over the course of your life, and even with raising your child now, what are some final remarks and words of encouragement that you would share with children that are watching right now and will watch this video as they maneuver through this process of COVID-19 and hybrid learning, and even those that are planning to go off to college this semester, this school year, and graduate in May? What are some motivation words you would leave for them to encourage them through these trying times?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things I would say to anybody who's going through COVID time is you got to take care of this right here. This is your most powerful weapon, your mind. It all starts with your mindset. Success is a mindset, so even if you don't have a lot of money, even if you're not like you go home and life is extremely tough, or like you're experiencing tough times right now because you don't see any hope, or you just don't see a future for yourself, man. Start working on your mind. Start reading the right books. Start watching the right YouTube videos. Start following the right people on social media. Don't just consume anything, like I said, because once you do that, if you don't develop your mind, I'm telling you, you're gonna have it doesn't matter what resources you have. It doesn't matter like how smart you are. It doesn't matter like how much potential you have. Like you're not gonna go as far as you want to go. It's all about your mindset. It starts there. So really, really start to establish that vision for yourself. Really start to think about, what do I want to be 10 years, 20 years from now. I have a saying that I say, is operate at the level of your vision. So based off your vision, right? See where you want to be, or ask yourself, what do I want to be 10 years, 20 years from now? What that vision is. So do I want to be a CEO? Do I want to be in the NFL? Do I want to be an artist, right? Do I want to run my own Boys and Girls Club? And then now, how do you need to ask yourself, how do I need to operate so that I can bring that vision to life, right? What time, if I'm a CEO, right? If I'm eventually be a CEO, what time will my CEO version of myself have to wake up in the morning? What type of friends will the CEO version of myself need to have? What type of books will the CEO version of myself need to read? How hard will that NFL version of myself need to go and practice, right? So after you ask yourself all those questions, and you start to identify those habits and those things that you need to do, my suggestion, you need to start doing that right now. Because once you can start to implement those things that are aligned with your vision, guess what? It's only a matter of time before you get to that good place. But like I said, it all starts with your mindset. It all starts with seeing yourself beyond your circumstances. And then after that, after establishing that right mindset, I would say you got to choose the right friends. Got to choose the right friends. You got to surround yourself with the right people. Like, we're all one relationship away from our whole entire life changing. And that's one thing that's really, really, really helped me, is just I made the choice, whether it was like in middle school, it was in high school, in college, to just say, some of the toughest decisions I made were saying no to people who I grew up with. Like that, I'm gonna have to look like you my boy, but I can't hang with you like that. And sometimes I didn't even say it. I just started slowly distancing myself from certain people because I knew, just like I said, I had a vision. They weren't aligned with my vision. They weren't going. We weren't going the same places. We weren't talking about the same things. Like a lot of times, I'll be around certain people and they'll just be wasting time talking about nonsense, talking about nothing. So once I started surrounding myself with people who were high performers, people who wanted to be successful, people who were high character people, and just learning from them and watching them and molding myself after them, that's one of the things that really really helped set me apart. So major pieces of advice I would give, man: focus on your mindset, developing your mind, whether that's reading the right books, watching the right YouTube videos, working on your mental health. That's huge right now too. So don't just act like everything's perfect when it's not. Like, if you need to journal, if you need to get counseling, like, do that. Work on your mindset. And then the next thing is make sure that you build the right team of people around you, because it takes a village. I don't care how smart you are, how how much ability you have. None of us can do this and can win alone. So those are my two pieces of advice, man.
Wow, 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 wow. Such profound knowledge that you share with us today about creating your village, taking up an opportunity to go to counseling. That's something that a lot of our generation don't really want to address and talk about. Going to counseling, making sure that you have the right mentors, making sure that you have the right supporters. And that's something that we often do here at the Boys and Girls Club is quarterly mentor. We mentor weekly, once or twice a week. We have a program called Smart Girls in Passport to Manhood, where we gather with our club members and staff and mentor them. And I can tell you the impact it has made on our children to just have a safe place to let out their emotions, to really talk about their dreams and career goals and where they're trying to go and their mindset. And as you mentioned earlier about the mindset, protecting your mind, young people, is one of the greatest things that you can do. And so, hey, listen, we have another speaker, but we've enjoyed you so much today. We got to have you back to share with us one on one. And
And
we
we
thank
thank
you so much for the opportunity to take out of your time today.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate everything that y'all do, and I'm thankful for my experiences at the Boys and Girls Club. It was a blessing, and it's something that I still am very very passionate about. So anytime I can come on, man, and give back and just share some knowledge, I'll be more than happy to, because I'm always gonna be a Boys and Girls Club kid at heart. So thank you guys again for having me.
Hey, and we're so thankful for all that you've done. Hey, we'll be in touch for you. Let's prepare now for our next speaker, okay? Hey, take care. All right, so we're going to bring up our next speaker for our Career on Wheels segment. Listen, you all, when I ran across this man's profile and heard him on this app called Clubhouse, I knew that I had to get him on the Boys and Girls Club of Albany platform to share in our Career on Wheels segment. Listen, this gentleman here that I'm introducing to you all is a multifaceted creative director in strategic counseling consultant based in Los Angeles, California. He is a songwriter. He's experienced a long and winding career until he finally discovered the field in which he could deliver the most significant impact for his community. And when I tell you, he has a creative mind like none other. And I'm going to bring him on the screen now and let him share with us today some of the wonderful things that he has going on out there in California. Listen, I'm quite sure it's different from the weather here in Georgia. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. You're making me blush.
Hey, we're so glad that we can have you on the line today with us to share in the wonderful things that you're doing out in California.
hmm Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share some value and encourage and inspire the young people out where you are.
So I just want to take a moment here and allow you to share your background with the people that are watching. Introduce yourself and share some of the wonderful projects that you've worked on.
hmm So, my name is Max. I'm a creative director and brand marketing strategist here in downtown Los Angeles. I have dedicated my career to empower creative entrepreneurs, and that's anyone who's out to create their own life, create their own career in mostly the creative and entertainment industries, like musicians, actors, models, influencers, creators, anyone who is a writer or an engineer in the arts. All the way down to, I really do believe entrepreneurs and business owners are creative because you have to have some sort of audacious creativity to believe that you can create something from scratch. So I support and empower them. I make sure that they have all the resources they first of all, everybody has the resources that they need at their disposal. It's just a matter of being aware that they have access to them. So these social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, all the way to Google, Yelp, uh, and all the platforms online, even to TikTok, is can be utilized to grow a brand, a business, to market and promote yourself. So my work is to show people who have inclinations to build something for themselves, to show them that they have support in on the internet, and they have tools that they can use to make a living and eventually quit their day job if that is their aspiration, as I know many people that is.
So let's talk for a moment about what really sparked your interest into this creative field.
Sure. Okay. So back in 2010, I started as a songwriter in the music industry as a producer. I was trained as an audio engineer, record producer in studio. So that was the beginning of my creative career, and I learned a lot about the people in those industries, in those fields, the struggle they go through, the misconceptions that their families and friends have of them when they're pursuing something that's not traditional, like education or a white collar career. And so I learned what it takes to be confident and to believe in yourself in that way. But then I also recognize the struggle that people go through because it's not easy. It's not easy, and just making it happen for yourself, it is quite. It's like bootstrapping. It's like creating a small business where you are the business. You're the face of the business. And so I from there, like many of my peers, I needed more money. I needed more income. So I shifted from the music industry over into tech, and I went to a 3-month boot camp, coding boot camp, and I learned a skill, a trade. And I highly recommend everybody pick up skills. That's really the only way you can be useful in the market. And so I picked up a trade and I learned how to code, and I was a programmer for 4 years. I lived in the Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, for a while, and from there I learned about these tools that I mentioned, about these social media platforms, these online platforms that we can use to set up an infrastructure for our own business or brand. Um, and so it's from there I shifted. I was unfulfilled in the coding, the 9 to 5 desk job, and I decided that the real impact that I could have on my community, the people that I cared about, the creatives, is to come around back and bring to them what I found in the tech industry, and is that all of these programs, Facebook is a program, Instagram is a program, you can use these to grow your business and make a living and ultimately find fulfillment in what it is that you're meant to do.
Wow. So when you talk about gaining a skill, going to a boot camp, many people always think that you have to go to college in order to start a new career change.
Mhm.
Uh, and so when you talk about that skill, what are some of the greatest projects that you've had the opportunity to work on?
Well, gaining a skill like coding, it's really just prepared me to be an employee. It was a skill where I could potentially, if I had the drive and really the aspirations, the ambition to create, I could have created my own app. I could have been the next Zuckerberg if I was such a type of person. But I found that me personally, yes, I gained the skills to do these things, but I didn't have the innate drive and hunger to be some a coder who made a difference coding. But I will not. I to your point, picking up a skill is so key because that's now you have a tangible value in the market. It's when somebody says, "What can you do for me?" As either an employer or somebody that a collaborator, a peer, like what can you, how can you benefit this project? And I always say, you enter a room ready to contribute, and you need to have skills to contribute. And so so if I could make any point to any children watching or anyone who's looking for inspiration, encouragement, is decide how you want to impact a community that you enter, how you want to enter a room and contribute to that room, and then build those skills in terms of how you would like to make that impact, what kind of impact you would like to make.
And so when we talk about your opportunities and the exposure of building from this ground up,
Mhm.
think about how teams could really take things like TikTok,
Mhm.
their social media apps, and really turn that into a business,
Yeah.
and really take their creative genes and really make money off of that.
Mhm.
Speak on how you look into the creative eye. How do you tap into your creativeness
Okay.
as a business owner? And what tips could you share with the teams and young people that are watching?
Yeah. Okay, so as a creative, we are very sensitive, we're very observant. We see things in the world and they affect us and they stick with us. And then we try to create a piece of art or work or a project that kind of reflects what we've experienced. That's what art is, and that's what creativity is. But if we're talking about a business, if we're talking about adding value to a market, it's ultimately first begins with business development, product development, audience development. Is what are we bringing to the market? What are we, when we create something, even if it's a piece of art, it's a product that we bring to the market and we present it to an audience or potential customers and say, hey, I've made something. Would you like to buy it? That's really the bottom line of all business transactions or conversation or sales is I've made something. Would you like to buy it? And so what you really have to do is increase the chances that reduce the rejection sort of chances and increase the chances that someone will say, yes, I want this. And you do that through market research. You do that through product development and saying this thing that I want to make, is it really important? Does somebody really want it? Is it going to help anybody? Or am I just making t-shirts because I feel like I want my name on a t-shirt and maybe people will buy it? So it's really about, as creatives, creativity is for us as therapy. Often it's a cathartic experience, just like exercise can be a cathartic experience, just like yoga can be a cathartic. It's for just our special expression and our unique sort of venting. But if we decide we want to bring it in public and start selling it, we have to decide, how is it helping anybody? Is this special in any way? Is this unique? Or am I just sort of am I lost in a sea of people and products just like me? So we got to focus on the impact and the specific community that you're serving.
So one of the things that we've done here at our team center is actually purchase media designing equipment. So we
Mm,
purchased the green screen, we purchased the cameras, we purchased the Adobe software. So our teams are starting on Monday, tapping into their creative genes of actually
mhm,
taking TikTok's 60-second videos and actually teaching lessons out of them.
mhm.
Whether it's in encouraging teens to find a mentor and teaching them healthy lifestyle 60-minute quick trail mid snacks. So, what are some of the things as a marketing strategist that you could share with our teens to really help push their brand and business out?
Okay, so the way to use social media is to create content specifically designed for a specific niche or target audience. Is if you have to decide, first of all, to say that I'm going to make content and it's for everybody. Everybody will love it. It's for everybody. That's not a realistic goal. The human race is not a monolith. They have different desires, different likes and wants, and so when your team sets out to create content, they need to decide, we're going to create content for a specific demographic or a specific identity. So let's say you guys set out to do inspirational, motivational encouragement type TikToks, 30-second clips. Say you have to make a hypothesis. You're like a scientist in the lab now. You make a hypothesis that says, we are going to create some content and we believe that Generation Z, right? Generation Z living in Georgia are going to like this stuff. Specifically Georgia. Let's just try Georgia. Or if you really want to go broad, Generation Z in America. The thing is, TikTok is global, so anybody can see it. But you have to decide, we really think that Generation Z in Georgia is going to like this content. Something about it speaks to the children in Georgia. Uh, and maybe it's because of the sort of local colloquialisms, or you guys are referencing local types of references. And so anybody who sees it is like, oh, this is very Georgia. Like I relate to it. I'm from Georgia, or I have an affinity for Georgia. And so you decide, like, this content is for them, and let's see if they like it. And you test your hypothesis. You test these theories. It's the same with business development. Is you do market research and focus groups. Like we put it in front of an audience and see how they react. And if they react positively, you keep doing it. You keep giving them that product. And if nobody engages, you know something's wrong and you have to tweak. Maybe you're not doing it right, or maybe you're approaching your content with the wrong types of people. So my point is, when you're creating content, really keep in mind who it's for and how it's supposed to impact them, they're supposed to receive it. How can they take it and use it, or what will they do with it? And consider the actionable items. What is the call to action? Now that they've seen the content, what do they do now? Do they follow you? Do they, email you? Do they go to the website? What would you like them to do now that they've decided that they like you and they're ready to buy in? So always have a follow-up step for them, and you really do need to direct them. In the bio, you could always say, hey, if you like any of this content, hit us up on the website or something like that.
And that's great nuggets. That's great nuggets. I tell our teams all the time to explore the different areas that you would like to market in. Explore the different items that you would like to sell. Research, figure out what hashtags works best. How do you reach people in the market of LA or New Orleans or New York? How do you reach those people in producing your products? So one of the initiatives that we've started this school term is for our teen center is we started like the ABC TV show Shark Tank. And so our students are building products and brands around their business each and every day. So hopefully by April, we'll be able to launch them out and start getting reviews off of the products that they would like to sell one day and open their own business. So let's share for a moment, what are some obstacles that you've overcome in the midst of you launching out into your creativeness?
Well, I like I mentioned in my story, I had a day job as a software developer. This was between 2016 and 2019. There's a very healthy salary as they give in tech. And so if I had to give any recommendation in terms of someone needing to start a career, a 3-month boot camp, you could make, 60K salary starting if you really do have a solid skill. And so that was me, and I had that career, and I was getting promotions and raises, and it was great. But when I decided that this wasn't the career I wanted for myself, I sacrificed that comfortable salary for essentially nothing, no guarantees. I started a company from scratch. I didn't really have a business plan. It isn't the best idea. You really should have some sort of plan when going into a venture. That's one recommendation is really having foresight and seeing what are my expenses going to be? How much is it going to cost me to even do this thing that I want to do? How much runway do I have to live? If you live with your parents, you don't have bills, so that's fine. You have all the time in the world. That's why Generation Z is so creative, is that they have all the time in the world to create and create and create and create. No bills, really, no expenses, not too much pressure on them to raise a family. They have no dependents, essentially, not even themselves. They don't even have to pay for themselves. So the young people really do have a large runway to try to, they can fail a lot, they can succeed and fail again. And so one obstacle that I've had, and really last week was a very stressful week for me. My debt is catching up with me. I've taken a lot of risks in my business and in my career, and I've bet it all on myself. And I'm coming to a point where I'm running out of, how you say, a credit line, right? I'm running out of opportunity to borrow money, and so I'm happy because business is booming, and all of the risks and the investments that I've taken in my career are paying back finally. It's just I'm at a point where it's like I've come to sort of the breaking point, and now it's up to me to really dig in and get those return on investments. I can't dilly-dally too much longer. So it's really about seeing how far you can take this, taking the risks on yourself and investing in yourself. How long can you take it? How long can you pay rent on sort of the trajectory that you're going? And then once you really try to start getting that positive cash flow before you hit the breaking point. Like myself, I'm at the breaking point, but I'm prepared. I'm positive, and I'm very confident that it's coming. All this positive cash flow is coming. I have plenty of happy clients, and I just need to keep that consistency, and I'll be able to pay off these debts that have been stressing me out.
And I hear you talk about those debts and overcoming your obstacles, and everything else that you've had to face in your creativity area and space. Share for a few moments any final remarks and encouragement to really help motivate that teen or those youth that are listening, that really feel like giving up on their art and their creative genes. Just share some words of encouragement to those teens.
Okay. So I think it starts with, you have to recognize who you are and what you like personally, uniquely. You like your the things that your parents don't understand. They don't get why you spend so much time doing this one thing, whether it's fitness or whether it's art or whether it's yoga, or you like to plant plants, you like pottery, whatever it is. This one thing that nobody understands, recognize that it's yours and yours alone, and you can't expect anybody to support you, not even your parents. And so don't put too much pressure on that thing to be your thing. Just like me, I was a creative, but I went and found a job to keep me afloat when I had to start, adulting. For kids, there's going to be a certain point where you have to start being an adult and paying bills and, paying rent. So find something that's going to sustain you. You need multiple streams of income. Ultimately, you need multiple streams of income, and you need something that's going to pay your way, make, be able to buy groceries and be able to pay your car note if that's probably not going to be your art. It's not going to be that thing, that your unique thing. You're not going to make money with it for years, most likely, unless you're a wonder child and you just really had all the business acumen and the resources behind you to build infrastructure quickly. It's going to take a while to even get good at your craft. So have a, not a backup plan, but have something sustainable. You need to have a sustainable infrastructure, whether that's a day job. If it's a day job, do well at that day job. Don't let it take up too much time. If it's a 9 to 5, as soon as you get home, get back to work on your other thing. But as long as you're paying the bills and you have a plan, you really do have a plan, that all of this investment and time you're spending on your creativity, how is it going to flip? How can you flip it into something that's going to be positive and build a career for yourself? And ultimately, so the point is, don't put too much pressure on your art creative stuff to make you money. It's going to take time, and always seek guidance, seek knowledge, educate yourself with YouTube, educate yourself with just Googling articles. I guarantee anything how do I do this on Google, you're going to find 10 articles that's going to break it down for you, and you can really have a clear roadmap. So educate yourself, prepare yourself for obstacles, worst case scenarios, prepare yourself for those, and just continue to get better every day, improve every day. Make sure that you can pay your rent, so you're not too stressed out, and you'll be fine. Build a good community around you, like Rennie said earlier. Good community, positive role models and friends. Make sure that whenever you guys get together, you're talking about improvement and not talking about destruction, of your life, or destruction of relationships. And it's about building each other up. So positive people in your life and positive goals, everything will be okay.
Wow. Now that's good advice to share. And so just listening to you just made me really think about re-strategizing my year, re-strategizing my brand, and re-strategizing things that I have going on here. And so I hope teens that are listening and youth that are listening really value the information that you're sharing with us today. So as we prepare to exit this interview, I want you to be able to come back, share with our students, work along with our students as they tap into their design and media creativity.
Yeah, yes. Thank you for having me. I'd love to come back. I'm really all about encouraging and empowering creativity, especially in youth. I think what we lack, or at least in my experience as a youth, I lacked exposure to different fields, different career choices and options. If a child is good at music, if they like to sing, really parentals and guardians and mentors should be pushing them in that direction, or at least offering them resources and exposure to these things. Like, did you know you could have a career in music? You could be a songwriter, a very fulfilling and serious professional career as a songwriter, or a music composer or a music director at a radio station. It's real careers. Maybe a kid loves taking photos on their phone. It's like, hey, did you know you could be a professional photographer? You can get paid to take photos at weddings, and you can get paid to take photos at events. It's a thing. And so exposure to these options. There's always options in many different fields. It's not just dentists out here, not just lawyers and doctors. And there's creative fields, and people pay creatives every day. So just get out there and recognize what's really out there, and that you have a chance to do what you want to do.
Hey, and again, so much. We thank you for joining us today. And as always, you got a friend here at the Boys and Girls Club of Albany, Georgia. Anything that we can do to help you in your creativity, and also as the same and vice versa. We look forward to partnering with you in the future, and anything that you need from us, we are always here. So from Albany to LA, hey, we may not be able to get here in person or to see you in person, but we're so glad that you've taken out time out of your day and to sharing this broadcast with us.
Right on. Keep it
Yes,
up.
sir.
You're doing great
And
work.
until next time, we'll see you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you all so much for tuning in today to our Career on Wheels segment. We had two amazing speakers to join us today, and the information that they share has really been beneficial to me personally, and I know to the listeners as well. So tune in on Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. for our Black History HBCU edition. We have some wonderful colleges that are going to be joining us from all across the country, and you don't want to miss it and be a part of it. Hey, we'll see you next time and keep spreading joy, peace, love, and happiness.